Alright. Christ is risen. Christos anesti. Christos voskrese. Elmeticom hamashiacham. Christus resurrexit. Christo ha resucitado. Christos anviat. Christi ungial. Harisutosu fukatsu. Jidu fuhola. Okay. So, been a while, but new vlog, and this guy's back. Yeah, so he's a producer. He does stuff behind the scenes, but it's been a while since he's been on screen because well, you know, I haven't been doing videos like this, so he hasn't been able to join us. But he does everything behind the scenes, so appreciate you, buddy. All right. So as you can tell from the title, today I'm going to be reviewing a couple of books, volumes 1 and 2 of Paradise and Utopia: The Rise and Fall of What the West Once Was. So I'll be reviewing both volumes available so far. First is The Age of Paradise, Christendom from Pentecost to the First Millennium, and Volume 2, The Age of Division, Christendom from the Great Schism to the Protestant Reformation. Alright, so, overview of what these books are. These books are basically the history of the church from the beginning to where we are today, or various volumes, with an emphasis on what's happened in the West. So, Age of Paradise, Volume 1. It's really good. There are little icons and pictures throughout. There's more icons. There's a nice colored section. You can see colored photos throughout as well. Little section there. It's paperback, so it's not too expensive. All right, so that's it for the construction of it. Now, as for the content, oh boy, is the content great. The great thing about Father John Strickland, not Ted Strickland's from Father John Strickland is an Orthodox priest, but in these books, he's not polemical, even though he has a clear thesis inside and at points defends it sometimes pointedly. He is very fair about giving the Western context about why things happened, even when he disagrees. I mean, I've never seen an Orthodox author be so fair to Charlemagne, for example. So he's very fair. He's being a top-notch historian in these. One thing that is kind of hard is hearing not referring to the saints with saint in front of their name. So, for example, he'll say Paul or Peter instead of Saint Paul or Saint Peter. So that's kind of hard to get used to when you read Orthodox material and you're used to hearing those in front of him. This is more academic, more historical, so he doesn't have to use them. So that's interesting. So that can take some getting used to. Now, he does write in a pretty accessible way. I mean, it will be easier if you already have a background, but I think even if you don't really have a background with the issues at hand, he does do a great job setting it up and going into the actual historical background and setting things up so that even if you didn't know anything about it, you could still understand what's going on here. So, Grand Prince Vladimir. The Age of Paradise is all about, it's basically the church from Pentecost to the 7 ecumenical councils. The book basically ends. It goes up through St. Photius and the Carolingians, but it doesn't actually get to this Great Schism. It ends just before that. So that's Volume 1, Age of Paradise. Volume 2, Age of Division. It's a little bit longer, whereas Volume 1 is 281 pages. Volume 2 is 343 pages. So it's a little thicker, and there's more to cover. And it was it's nice. I really like how he goes into both East and West because I've been spending so much time with Orthodoxy and with the East and everything. There's stuff in here about the West that I completely forgot that I hadn't touched on really since my medieval history course in college. So it was nice to go back and to get really see what was going on with the West at the time. So see how that developed, why these differences developed. Again, he is very fair to the West. He is not polemical at all. The only time you really see him get a little bit of a righteous indignation thing is when talking about the Crusaders and specifically what they did in like the Fourth Crusade, things like that. So understandable. Yeah, I agree. It was a horrible thing. All right. So then, again, Volume 2, the same thing. There are black and white pictures throughout. Black and white pictures throughout, and in the middle, a nice section of color photographs. Yeah. So again, just like in Volume 1, same thing. Very fair-minded, very historical, very academic. Sets up background well, so even if you don't have any familiarity with what's going on in the thing, he sets it up for you, explains it very well. It's easy to follow. Really, the fighting is not very difficult. Really, I think any high school graduate should be able to follow it without any issue. One great thing that I really prefer in Volume 2 over Volume 1 is Volume 2 uses footnotes. Volume 1 uses endnotes. Footnotes are better than endnotes. You cannot change my mind on this. I much prefer being able to glance down at the bottom of the page and check the source or see any explanation than have to flip all the way to the back of the book to see, like in Volume 1. So yes, I'm glad they made that improvement in the second volume, switching from endnotes to footnotes. That was very welcome. Thank you, Father John Strickland and HP Publishing for switching over to that format. Okay. So, as for the content in Volume 2, it basically begins with the great schism between East and West. It sets that up at the beginning, then goes into it, then goes through like the Crusades and everything, what the East was going on with the Turks, the spiritual development in the West, how it diverged from the East, all that stuff. And it ends basically with the beginning of the Protestant Reformation, including the witch craze of Europe. So I don't want to get too much into the content of the books. I don't want to give too much away because man, there's a lot here, and it's all just fantastic. So if you're interested in church history at all, you got to get these two books. You got to read them. You know, completely recommend these. Cannot wait for the next 2 volumes to come out. So yeah, that's all I had to say. Great work, Father John Strickland. Love these 2. Can't wait for the next 2. So church historians, pick these up, give them a read. They're easy reading and they're quite enjoyable. All right. So from Artu and myself, we will see you guys next time. Please like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, all that good stuff. And see you later.